Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of System Shock Radio. This is episode 9. I am your host, Nigel, and wow, we've made 9 of these so far. That is incredible. Well, absolutely incredible. Well, I just wanted to take this time and say thank you for all the support as we've reached 9 episodes. All right, but let's get right into our topic. So, of course, as per usual, we're going to start off with the answer to last week's riddle. So, just to recap, last week's riddle was this: a taxi driver was going the wrong way on a one-way street and passed by four cops, but they didn't stop him. Why? And the answer to that one is very simple. He was walking on that street. A one-way street, if you drive the wrong way, then the cops will come after you. But if you're just walking up the street, they're not supposed to harass you. But um so that was the riddle for last week. If you got it correct, congratulations to you. And we're gonna start off with this topic, which is that it's at International Women's Month. So the month of March is International Women's Month, and that's a celebration of just about everything that women have accomplished, recognizing women as they broke down glass ceilings and knocked down walls in the industries of the working world, of gaining freedoms for themselves, gaining the right to vote and everything. So to the women out there, congratulations. Keep up your hard work and your dedication. And the next topic is going to be a bit of a story time. So this story time is the first WWE event I ever went to. Now, those of you who know me know that I'm a huge fan of the WWE, and this is the first event I went to. So it was Christmas 2009, so I was about 9 years old, and my brother said, "Hey, for Christmas I got you tickets to WWE Live. They were coming live to Buffalo, and he was like, "We're gonna go together." And me, being 9 years old and infatuated with WWE, yeah, I was like, "Oh, sweet! We're gonna go to WWE. We're gonna go live. We're gonna see all the wrestlers and everything." So we went to WWE Live. So this episode actually wasn't on the air. It was a house show. This episode of WWE never aired. I've been to episodes where they aired. This first one wasn't, and um, we went and we were in the nosebleeds, but I didn't care because seeing my favorite wrestlers just wrestle it out, even from the nosebleeds, was awesome. And actually, the nosebleeds, yeah, they are cheaper, which is why a lot of people buy them, but they're actually not that bad because at least with the nosebleeds, you could see just about everything. You could see the entire arena. Versus whether you're at ringside, you can of course see the ring and the wrestlers, but sometimes you may have to like look up a little bit. So there was a bit of an advantage there, and we had a great time. I remember the main event was John Cena versus Sheamus, and it was just a fun time. It's something I will never forget. And so, big bro, if you're watching, thanks again for that. And the next topic that we're going to move into are my favorite presidents to study. So, the USA has had about 45 presidents, which is incredible. Oh, some presidents not as great as the others, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about my favorites to study. And the reason that these ones are my favorites to study is because of the lasting impact that they made on American society, what they did while they were in office, in some cases, what they did even before they were in office, the circumstances surrounding before they went into office, and even the circumstances that surrounded after they left office, and the time period that they were president, what was going on around that time. So, my three favorites to study are Abraham Lincoln, which was around during the Civil War, of course, or pretty much everyone knows who he is. No formal introduction needed for Abe Lincoln. And he's one of my favorites to study because I love the Civil War so much, and seeing what he did in America during the Civil War was incredible. And of course, the Emancipation, my apologies, Proclamation, which um, A lot of people said freed the slaves. It was a doctrine that said the slaves were going to be freed, but the slaves didn't end up being freed until after the Civil War, or because of the war still going on, and the southern states were still not a part of the Union yet. So until they were able to come back into the Union, and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments couldn't exactly go into effect. But still one of my favorites to study, and the way he died, he was the first president to be assassinated. There's another assassinated president that will be here, but he was the first. And my next is Franklin D. Roosevelt. So I've also studied Teddy Roosevelt, but Franklin I prefer more, and that's because he was around during the Great Depression. And the Great Depression was a time of financial, depression for the Americans. It was because of the stock market crash in 1929. And the former president before him, Herbert Hoover, didn't exactly, he tried to fix the economic issues that were surrounding America, but he ultimately failed. In his ideologies, he tried the trickle down method, and it didn't exactly work. So Franklin Roosevelt comes into office, and he pretty much says, we're going to turn this around. And so he implemented what was called the New Deal. And now the New Deal will pretty much try to turn the economy around. It established bank holidays. It established worker programs so that more people could find employment and pay things off. And he also established fireside chats. Now, fireside chats were pretty interesting because, first of all, the radio was just as popular as ever. This was before the TV came around. But with the fireside chat, he just about every night, or I believe it was every week, if I'm not mistaken, and would sit down by his radio and communicate with the American people. And it made it feel like he was actually there talking with the people as they go through this Great Depression. And so ultimately, everything he did, while it was helpful, what ultimately got America out of the Great Depression was, ironically, when World War II began. It was war that brought the people out of this depression, and the factories were retooled to make weapons of war. It says a lot about America, doesn't it? But anyway, my third is John F. Kennedy. He came years later. He was the fourth president to be assassinated, but perhaps one of the most famous because it's one that, none of the assassinations people saw coming, but this one especially hurt. Riding down in his open limousine in Dallas, Texas, he was shot in 1963 on November 22nd. But that's not why he's my favorite to study. One of my favorites to study is also because of what he did while he was president, supporting the civil rights movement. He was one of the youngest, if not the youngest president, if I'm not mistaken. And the fact that television kind of got him the vote because he was younger, or kind of had a bit of a prettier face than presidential candidate Nixon, who would become president later on. And so that helped him get his foot in the door and ultimately secure him the presidential vote. And eventually, I also said circumstances after. So after President Kennedy was assassinated, then began the theories like who killed Kennedy? Did Lee Harvey Oswald work alone? Did Lyndon Johnson do it? Who killed Kennedy? And so that's why those three are my favorite to read up on and study. But now we're getting into sort of the inspirational sort of part of this video. As per usual, we're going to provide you all with a little inspiration, especially in this time that we're living in now. And I have two. The first one is dealing with criticism / haters. Now, contrary to popular opinion, not all criticism is bad. In fact, a lot of criticism is to help you improve. And if you follow the good criticism, you may improve in the long run, which is why you have to differentiate what's good criticism, what's bad criticism. Usually, you're able to tell the difference based on the person and exactly what they're saying. If they're saying that all the good things that you're doing and then following up with, now, if you could do this, you would be so much better, that's usually a sign of good criticism. If the person is just coming down on you like a hammer, just as, oh, everything's awful, everything's bad with what you're doing, then that's sort of how you interpret bad criticism. Now, if everything is bad, then usually that could be criticism, which is why you have to really reflect and take a look at yourself to figure out, oh, the good from the bad criticism. Like I said, not all criticism is bad, not all criticism is good. So you have to differentiate between the two, and that comes with time. And the haters, haters sometimes can be fun. Haters are just people that are just slandering you, trying to fill your head with negativity. Don't buy into it. I'm here to tell you, it sounds cliche, but don't buy into it. Because oftentimes what haters just want is they want attention. They want the spotlight on them. And they want to mess you up so you can't go where you need to go, or by trying to stop you dead in your tracks. I'm here to tell you that don't buy into it. And the more haters you have, that means you're doing something right. It's because you're ticking them off. You're pushing all their buttons just by being you. So continue to be you and leave the haters at the door. And the next is the power of a smile. So a smile can mean a lot of things. And when I was doing research for this topic, I wanted to do some research and see exactly why is a smile so powerful? Well, what I found is that a smile can sometimes boost your mood. Like if you're having a bad day and you see, let's say you're walking down the street, you're just having a bad day. You may or may not have gotten fired, girlfriend, boyfriend, driving you nuts. You're just walking down the street, you're all upset. You're like, I'm just over today. And you see a baby smile. You see a mother and her kid. You just happen to look over and you see that baby smile. Well, instantly your mood goes up. You're like, oh, look, baby smiling. And a smile oftentimes can do that to you. It can give you a feeling of elation and a feeling of positivity. If you're in a bad situation along with someone else and they start to smile and say everything's going to be okay, that boosts your mood and you're like, you know what, everything is going to be okay. And that's why a smile is so important. And that's why a lot of times when people are depressed, if you ever find yourself depressed, try smiling. It may not necessarily fix the depression, but it could help in the long run. But that is about it for today. I thank you all so much for tuning in, and we're going to end this off by leaving you with next week's riddle. So, here it goes. What has 13 hearts but no other organs? Let's read that one again. What has 13 hearts but no other organs? That has your riddle for next week, and I will see you all later. Peace.